Hey everyone, it's Jermaine Lucia here from IO9. We are currently in the midst of Comic-Con at home. And during Comic-Con, Friday usually means The Walking Dead. And Comic-Con at home is no different. We had 3 back-to-back YouTube panels going over all 3 now Walking Dead shows. And we're here to talk to you about it. Cheryl, you watched the prequel show, The Fear of the Walking Dead. What did you think?
Well, I think most of the larger shows, because the Comic-Con panels are now virtually streamed, they're kind of dividing them up into sections. So we had like a first section with some of the actors and then a second one, which wasn't completely ideal. I feel like it's more fun kind of to see everyone interacting, but I get it. But the show is going to be back for its 6th season on October 11th. There was kind of a cliffhanger at the end of season 5, so a lot of people wanted to talk about that, and of course there was a lot of, well, we can't really say, and it was mostly about Lenny James' character, Morgan, who was glimpsed in the trailer, not looking so good after being injured at the end of the previous season. But they did say that Lenny is going to be directing an episode this season, so whether or not that means Morgan, his character, is okay, we don't know. But they also mentioned that the cat, which is a fan favorite, Skidmark, will be coming back, and they hinted that there might be another pet this season, so pet fans out there, get excited. But mostly they just sort of talked about their characters, and then they did touch on the Western feel that is evident, was evident last season, and you can see it really well in the trailer that they released. Lots of horses and oil wells on fire and things like that. And somebody did make the inevitable Fear the Walking Deadwood joke, so that was pretty funny. But yeah, so that's going to be coming up October 11th. So after the main show wraps up its season, which you're going to talk about, they'll go right into the Fear the Walking Dead. So what did you think about the original panel?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing where they had, it's such a big cast on all these shows that they kind of split it up, and it would be fun to have them like a 30-person Zoom as opposed to like a 6. But there's some good info. I mean, like you said, the 10th season kind of got put on hiatus. The big finale will now air on October 4th as a lead-in to the new show, World Beyond, which we'll talk about in a second. They showed the clip of the opening of that episode, which was pretty cool. And the big news, though, is that it's not really a finale anymore because season 11 is now going to be delayed due to COVID-19. We're going to get 6 bonus episodes of season 10 sometime early next year. So that was kind of cool. I mean, Scott Gimple, who's the kind of world builder now for The Walking Dead, mentioned that they might eventually do some kind of prequel stuff with characters who are gone. You said maybe John Bernthal. I think that'd be awesome, or Glenn. But he just hinted at that briefly. And then, yeah, it was a lot of fan questions, which are interesting if you're like a super duper fan of the show. The main focus basically being Lauren Cohan's coming back as Maggie, and she's been gone for a long time. And now Negan, who killed her husband, is a good guy. So everybody's like, what the heck is that going to mean? So we will probably find out on October 4th, and if not then, a couple weeks later. And then after that episode, we'll get the new show, World Beyond, which also had a panel. What did you think about that show?
Well, I thought it was interesting that they specified that it's going to be a 2-season limited event. So as The Walking Dead keeps walking and walking and walking, this is just going to be a contained 2-season event, which is, I think, actually probably going to be good. But
they didn't even mention it either. It was weird. It was on the trailer, but they didn't like talk about it at all.
Yeah, they kind of mentioned they were like, we're in pre-production on season 2, but I think this show has interesting potential. It's set in, obviously, the world beyond, as they say, but it's after zombies are kind of part of life, or as they're going to call them on the show, empties.
Empties, yeah.
But it's going to be about sort of high school age kids who have grown up in this post-apocalyptic world, but haven't really done battle with zombies.
Yeah, that was what stood out to me, is that I didn't really realize that because they sort of were young, like little like toddlers when this happened. Now they're teenagers, but they've studied combat and they've studied zombies, but they've never actually fought them. And I think that's a really cool dynamic because when I first heard about this, I'm like, so it's just The Walking Dead with like younger kids. Who cares? But like the fact that they're not as seasoned as, you know, the cast of the Fear the Walking Dead become, or the cast on The Walking Dead are kind of at the beginning, that definitely is a pretty cool thing. And also the CRN, which is the black helicopter that took Rick away, is a big part of this show. And they had Julia Ormond, who who I couldn't even tell was Julia Ormond on the Zoom, but she's so awesome. And I like that sort of mythology is going to be all the way through this too.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely made sure to let us know that there were going to be adult characters too. There's like a couple of badass like school security types who are going to kind of, I assume, step in, save some necks at opportune moments. And then Julia Ormond, who's like kind of a cult actress at this point, playing a character whose intentions we aren't really sure about. And she couldn't really say that much about her character. Like somebody asked, do you know where Rick Grimes is? And she was like, I cannot say. So intriguing to see what she'll bring to the show.
Yeah. And the last thing we'll say about it is I think one of my problems with Fear the Walking Dead at the start was that it was supposed to be like, this is how the zombie apocalypse happened. And I felt like it kind of dropped the ball on that. And this, they talked about like it starts 10 years later and they're celebrating Monument Day, which they describe as like the night the sky fell. And that's kind of like when the zombie apocalypse happened. So like, I'm excited to see sort of learn more about it from a historical standpoint. I think that's a really cool thing. Though like, it seems like that might be like the first 15 minutes of the show. And then they go off on this cross-country adventure across the Moana Reef, which is a big thing of tire fires. Who knows? They got into a lot of detail. You can watch the panels if you want. That's kind of the cool thing with Comic-Con at Home is that the panels are online on YouTube right now, linked here in this story. Any other thoughts, Cheryl?
No, I think that's about it. Just we're going to have lots of zombies coming up in October, so that's kind of perfect.
Exactly. All right, so thank you so much for watching, Walking Dead fans, and keep it tuned here to IO9 for more Comic-Con at Home. Have a good one.